All right, so this is our Integrity Capital intern session, going over session number 4. So first, we're just gonna do a bit of a recap. Do you guys remember going through the videos on vision and what our vision is?
We did.
You
Yes.
did? Okay.
Well,
What
yeah.
what jumped out to you guys from that vision video?
So we've actually discussed the vision and the mission already.
Okay.
I believe where we are now is celebrating teammates and why innovation matters. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
Oh,
still doing
okay.
this.
So he's already
Okay.
gone through. Well, we'll probably still kind of just touch on this stuff because it's something that's just important to be aware of. But no, I think thanks for the heads up there, because I think what I've got is we're starting on the start of session 4, so we can skip ahead a bit. So on the vision stuff, so you guys went through that. Anything that so what was the discussion on vision? What's important about it?
So like my understanding of it and kind of like what we talked about was the
Mhm.
vision kind of shows us the details of our final destination. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily the strategy of how to get there, but it's kind of like your end goal, like your end point.
Exactly. Exactly. And then what's the and is vision something that you start out with a vision and you end with the same vision?
No,
No.
yeah, definitely
No.
not.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely something that can change on the path. It's probably something that's you probably have a very good idea of where you want to be, but yeah, it's definitely something that can change as you're progressing. And then so what if vision isn't the how, then what is the how? How do you get to your vision?
The mission.
Mission.
Yep, with the mission. And and sounds like you guys already kind of went into detail with our mission, how we get there is with Weld. And that's something that's been um a great way to just kind of for us to say, how are we going to move forward? How are we going to get things done? So the vision, where are we going? Mission, how are we getting there? And then convictions, how do the convictions play into it?
It's kind of like what you live by,
Mm,
just to ensure that the culture is still thriving.
yes. Yep. That's a good way. Yep. A good way to, so what you live by, the non-negotiables. Um, and I think that, everybody's got these in some way, um, shape or form. And those non-negotiables are something that you know it's a gut check on everything you do. Does this question my non-negotiables? And I think that's something that's important that we do. Anytime we you know anytime we work with a client or a lender, or it's a path that we want to take, it's always a gut check as to, does this, is there any question, does this affect our convictions? Because sometimes it's on the face value, maybe it doesn't, but sometimes it's well, where does this end? Where does this take us ultimately? And you have to kind of play it out. And is it, where does this, the end of this process, where does it land? And is it really, the most caring for the other individual? Is it the honest way to do things? Are you being candid but gracious, or are you just trying to avoid the situation and not bring something to light that needs to be discussed? So and then sounds like, so you guys went over the core convictions, and then the why, our 3 Ps. And then did you guys go into the who thrives at Integrity Capital then?
We did,
Yeah.
Okay.
but sorry to interrupt. I think another one of us is trying to get in. Do you see like a
Oh, I do now. Okay, I apologize.
no, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Thank you. Hey, Austin, how are you
Hey,
doing?
I'm
Hey,
so good.
this is Tom Harchie. I'm filling in for Dave Cotter today. So,
Awesome.
apologize. I didn't realize you're in the waiting room there still.
That's okay.
So, um, so we were just doing a quick recap on vision, mission, core convictions, and then the why, or the what fuels us. So, yeah, we were just going over that, and then the who thrives at Integrity Capital. So you guys went over the who thrives at Integrity Capital.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Okay, and then did you guys go over so you guys went over feedback from friends on personality, on traits and whatnot? Did you guys discuss that? Okay. And you guys discussed why do friends matter, and went into friends in detail and all that good stuff?
So
Why do
why do
friends
teammates
matter?
matter?
Hmm?
The teammates matter one? Why do teammates matter?
We hadn't got, well, friends in general was the conversation that I'm set to have with you guys today. So it was, is celebrating friends or celebrating teammates is part of it. But it was really kind of just discussing. It sounds like some of this information I've got or some of the curriculum I've got here is kind of going over stuff that you guys have already kind of gone over before, which we
Wow.
do, it's good to revisit and relearn and whatnot. But you guys already did the feedback from friends. You guys reached out to friends and kind of shared what you think your traits are and got feedback from them and whatnot. And you guys discussed that on the last class or the last gathering. Okay. So it sounds like, was that kind of wrapping it up on the last course you guys did together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, so now it sounds like, well, we won't go through that again. But it sounds like we're really kind of now at a point of why do friends matter, and then moving into celebrating teammates. So I guess I'll ask you guys the question, why do friends matter?
I think as like human beings, it's like in our nature to kind of seek out friends and to have someone you can like rely on, or that close circle of friends that you can go to for any problems or trust if you have any issues or anything like that. And just so you're not like, I don't know, lonely out there. It's always good to have friends, kind of like human
Mhm.
nature.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, just for, obviously, good to spend time with people and hang out and whatnot, but definitely helping us feel connected. But also, do you rely on friends just for that feeling connected and getting away from the workload or the school load right now? Do you have friends on your side that, if you had a problem, or let's say a question of like, hey, am I doing the right thing here? Do you have those sort of friends in your circles?
I mean, personally for me, yeah, like your friends are somebody that you're going to lean on in times that are tough or
Mhm.
decisive times. And there's somebody who's going to be there for you, kind of look out for your best interest,
Mhm.
somebody you really trust and kind of guide you in the right path. Because I mean, we don't always know the best decision for us, and kind of having the other viewpoints in those sort of situations are super important.
Mhm. Yeah.
Kind of going along with that, I feel like I can't remember who said the quote, but they said, "Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll tell you how successful you're going to be." Basically, and I think that goes a long way in saying that, the people you choose to surround yourself with are the people that are going to influence you to do different things. And so if you're, with a bunch of people that are kicking butt and doing all the like firing on all cylinders, then odds are you'll be doing the same things as them.
Mhm.
So I like that.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good one, and I've heard that before too, where it's more of the people that you are closely associated with, or your 5 closest friends. Those are the traits you're going to pick up on. If you're hanging out with the group that's out there helping and volunteering, just by the nature of it, they're going to pull you in, and you're going to pull yourself in to spend more time with them, and they're doing things like volunteering and helping, and being positive. And you know, obviously in the other situation, if you're hanging out with the wrong crowd, you're quickly going to go down that path too. You know, and not a path you want to go down. So yeah, no, they definitely, you know, keep us connected, but definitely influence us, as far as, you know, who we become and who we are, and that doesn't change. You know, even, you know, as you move through life, there's, you know, obviously different groups of friends come and go, but it's always still good to kind of keep with that group that's gonna, be a positive influence, or just honest. You know, if they might be a positive influence, but, you know, let's say they're not, you know, being completely candid with you, and they're not talking to you about, you know, hey, you're always, you know, showing up late for work or late for class in your scenarios. You know, if they're not like, hey, what's going on, and they just let it slide, and they're not, being the gut check for you to say, is there something going on where you're not making it on time, or you know, those are the sort of friends that are going to keep progressing you, in a good spot to be. So, but also, you know, to lift you up. You know, obviously we're all run into hardships and whatnot. And I think Dave had a story listed on here that he was gonna share. And it's his story, so I can't relate. But honestly, I kind of have another one that's on the same kind of plane of Dave and I. We both lost our dads at a young age. You know, when I was younger, I always kind of just I have a crew. I'm a car guy. All my buddies are into cars and whatnot. Can't help it. Just the circle of friends I keep. And my dad and I were working on restoring a car together. And he was supposed to come by on the weekend and help me put an engine in it. And I got the news on I think it was like a Tuesday that he passed away, and knew that the funeral was going to be coming. And, you know, I reached out to my, just kind of in, autopilot mode, and just kind of reached out to buddies and said, well, this is where I'm at. And they're like, what can we do? And I'm like, love to drive that car to his funeral. And just having, didn't even have to ask, but just a group of friends, they just, they just rallied around. I can't even remember the names of them all now that were there. There was just, there was Charlie, there was John stuck in his wheelchair still with a wrench, getting this engine in a car just so I could drive it to my dad's funeral. And that's, those are the sort of friends that are, that I guess the story that's dear to me of friends and like coming through in like a tight spot, just to pull you up and pull you through, when times are bad. And it's important to choose those friends, because, I could have reached out to a bunch of guys that were just like, oh, sucks to be you, rough spot. It's definitely, it's definitely a different outcome in those scenarios. But I mean, obviously we're a commercial finance company, but we're concerned about friends. Friends are something that's important. Why do you guys think that might be important for a company? Choosing who you're saddling up to.
I think it's important for kind of two reasons. Like the internal culture is like the primary reason. Just like if you want to come to work every day and be with the people you're working with, that'll, not only help you, but help the company as a whole. And so then in turn, you'll be more successful. But really it just starts with, do you want to wake up every day and go to work and, hang out with the people you're going to spend 8 hours with, versus maybe if you work somewhere that it's not as valued as much, you go in and you kind of just sit by yourself and do your work. Those are two very different work experiences. And I think one's clearly a much better option.
Yep. Yeah. Because I mean, like you said, you're spending 8+ hours a day at work. And you might not be spending that 8+ hours a day, exactly with coworkers all day long, but there's a good portion of it you're going to have interactions, with coworkers throughout the day. and I can definitely say that I would count my friend, the others that I work with here at Integrity Capital as my friends. And it's important to know that when you're saddling up with friends or coworkers, that it's the same situation. Those coworkers are gonna, those coworkers are also gonna be the ones that are influencing you, and either pushing you or not motivating you, or if you're like we say, we apply candid but gracious. You want a friend that's going to say, hey, yeah, this is where you're slipping up. You just want a coworker that way too. You want a coworker who's comfortable with saying, hey, this is where you're slipping up, and this is where you need to correct things. But also, in the same way that then kind of moves into our next topic of celebrating. You want to feel that connection too. You're not gonna just approach some random stranger and say, hey, good job on getting up out of bed this morning and doing your job and getting to work. You need to have those relationships for celebrating others too. You need to have those connections, those personal connections. Why it's, and if you're gonna have those personal connections, obviously you want it to be with individuals that you want to be personally connected with, because they're going in that direction that you want. They have to have those same core convictions. They have to have that same fuel that drives them and whatnot. So any stories you guys want to share on friends just lifting you up, or how that's kind of impacted you in the past? How about in the opposite direction? Anytime you've Ben, are you getting ready to say something there?
Yeah, I would say like with the opposite direction.
Sure, go for it.
Like a really good buddy of mine, his dad passed away back in February. He was in a pretty sad place, didn't really know what to do. I mean, he had seen it for a long time coming. His dad wasn't in good health. But, like when we were there down back home that whole weekend, like he just told us, how thankful he was for us. And that like without us, like he really didn't know how to get through the hard time. Like, I don't know, like being there for your friends in like those dark times, like truly holds a testament of how good your friendship is and like how important it is to some people.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true that, when you go through a hardship, it kind of in two ways, it lets you know, one, who do you want there? And it's a gut check in that way. And it's also a gut check in the other way of who is there for you. And it's easier to say, well, so-and-so lost their dad, but that party's this weekend and maybe I'll go to that instead. And knowing that somebody's taking time out of their day, especially for the big things, and the big hardships, and even the little hardships too. Sometimes it's you get somebody reaching out to you and just saying like, hey, how you doing? And checking in on each other. Even when you don't know if something's going wrong, but it gives that opportunity too. So it's it's not just the big things that hopefully brings us together as individuals and friends and whatnot. Anything else you guys want to share on that one, or are you gonna be the only brave one, Ben?
We'll see.
No, I actually don't have any like crazy stories come to mind. I mean, I know I've got good friends, but
Sure.
I'm not thinking of anything big right now.
Mhm.
Maybe because there are so many. I don't know. But I'm not really thinking about anything. Nothing comes to mind right now.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, I guess it could be something as small as, hey, how's it going? Just when you think about somebody, just reaching out to them. They always appreciate that. But like you said, it doesn't really have to be something big. And I think I'm trying to think of something big, so nothing's coming to mind right now. But
Yeah. And sometimes and sometimes when there's nothing at all going on and we reach out, that is a bigger, you know, a bigger thing than when there is a big thing, if that makes sense. You know, if somebody reaches out and just says, you know, hey, you know, Tom, how are you doing? That lets me know that they are really just genuinely thinking about me. You know, and it's not just well, they're checking in because they knew that I had a hard day, or they're just checking in because you know, they heard that, you know, story through the grapevine of a loss or a setback. So, you know, I think that it's, you know, sometimes when you're reaching out, or when somebody's reaching out to you on the smaller things, I think it's just as, if not more, critical, you know, on things like that. But so yeah, it's feeling connected, helping you grow in character. Do you guys have anybody that you kind of think of as like a mentor who's, you know, a friend also, that comes to mind?
I have a couple professors that I've been, you know, I've been in their class, and then I've been
Mhm.
able to, even after I'm out of their class, I've been able to reach out to them when I need help on, you know, when I'm researching an internship to do maybe, or a job to
Mhm.
go into or something like that. There have been professors that I've been able to look to. So
Yeah, I think that's a good example. Yeah, I think, and individuals in those roles, you know, professors, teachers, instructors are probably more geared, and they're probably just who they are. They like to be continue, you know, they like to obviously be educators. Um, but having somebody in that role that, you know, obviously is you know, a friend also, is definitely, you know, it's a valuable you know, relationship. You know, you've got that opportunity to reach out to them, and say, hey, I need this help, I need this guidance. Now, question, what benefit is that for them as a friend, or is it?
I feel like when people reach out to me, you know, and ask me for my opinion, I kind of just feel like um, almost not, I don't know if honored is the right word, but I feel
Mhm.
like grateful that they would think of me as someone that could be there
Yep.
to help them.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, and it's, you know, when we reach out to our friends in those situations, it's not it's not a give and take scenario. It's definitely, you know, they're in that role, especially somebody who's a teacher and instructor. They're in that role because that's what fills their cup. That's what makes their day. And when, you know, reaching out to, you know, even just a friend, or, you know, somebody who's a mentor, reaching out to somebody, and you know, saying, hey, can you help me? That, like you said, honored. You know, that's a good way to say it. You know, it puts a smile on their face. And, you know, kind of going down the road, it's, you know, one of the things that we, you know, we have to learn and whatnot, in business. You know, when we reach out to people that are, you know, our contacts, people that we work with, and sometimes it's like the hurdle to get over, reaching out and saying, like, you know, hey, do you have somebody that you can refer to me for this, or can you put me in contact with this sort of person? You know, business is not business. Those are our friends we're reaching out to. You know, those are our contacts. There's a relationship. They are a friend. But we're not taking from that friend. We're reaching out to that friend to say, can you help me? Is this something you can, you know, somebody you can connect me with? And they, in a sense, you know, in a way, feel, you know, honored. You know, they feel the respect that fills their cup to be able to say, oh yeah, you know, that's something I can help you with. That's, you know, let me give back to you, because when they're giving, you're not really taking anything from them, and you're giving them the opportunity to help you, which is in a way a gift to them. So it's a, you know, it's definitely, yeah, that's a good one there. I like that, the thought of friends that, you know, a teacher or a mentor that you can reach out to. Definitely good. Um, Anybody else have an example of something like that they'd like to share?
Oh yeah, there is someone that comes to mind.
Sure.
I reach out to him for everything.
Mhm.
He's my mentor and my friend and my dad as well. So
Yep.
he's
Yep.
great.
Yep. Dads and moms and parents, definitely, you know, they play a double role.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I can say it's difficult to walk the line sometimes, because man, I'd like to just be my kids' friends and just play and be goofy and leave the messes for mom to clean up, and but that would probably get me in a lot of trouble. Um, so, definitely, we're definitely a friend of our parents and a friend to our parents. And it's just, yeah, there's that double role, especially, younger in life, that they're much more strongly in the mentor role of, no, you can't do that, because, when you climb on the table, you fall and get hurt. But as we get older, obviously, and stop climbing on the table, for most of us at least, it moves more into that, less of that guardian, protective mentor role to as a friend, and obviously reaching out when times are tough, and hey, had a crummy day, what, don't even need you to tell me how to make it better, just console me, sort of scenarios. But yeah, no, definitely, yeah, parents are probably our first friends, for sure. That's a good one. I like that a lot. How about friends that help you in blind spots? Do you have any of those? Somebody that's kind of reached out to you and said, hey, do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize this bad choice you're making? Anybody experience with those situations?
Oh yeah, I hate those friends the most. I'm not even gonna lie, they're the worst, but they're probably the ones that I should keep the closest, to be honest.
Yep. Yeah.
Because yeah, they would call me out and be like, hey, and they're very blunt as well. They don't even sugarcoat it. So I do have those. I do.
Yep.
Yeah, because I tend to be very stubborn, in my thinking. So it's nice to have a couple of them. I don't try to get as many of them because I think I have enough that, just like to call me out and stuff, but
Yeah.
they are very important. They're probably the most important to
Yep.
me, at least.
Yeah. And those can be good friends. Especially, when they're honest and blunt. And it's just it's a case of receiving feedback.
Mhm.
And even when we have those friends, it's good to hear what they have to say. And sometimes it's easy to get defensive, and sometimes it's best to, in a way, hear them out, and then maybe reflect on it in a later time. Because sometimes, there are those friends that maybe just point out all of our faults and everybody else's too, which that, is that a helpful friend, or is that a good scenario to be in?
To only point out like your fault?
Well, if it's pointing out like every fault, like, if it's yeah, long, this is going way back. I remember I had a buddy who pointed out, and man, I must have been in elementary school. I used to point a friend that pointed out I used to hold my spoon funny. I mean, he was my best friend at the time.
Kick that guy to the
But
curb, that jerk.
yeah, exactly. But is that there's definitely those those sort of friends that'll point out everything we do wrong.
How can you hold your spoon funny and somebody says it's wrong? How is that considered something?
All right, I'm gonna get a camera and I'll send pictures, something, but it's one of those things that growing up I remember, and I was like, how do you hold your spoon? But yeah, it was a conversation while eating ice cream. And yeah, in my defense, I'm British, so I don't have the accent, but my parents were British. I do know that there's an American way to hold a spoon and a British way to hold a spoon. It might have been my offense was the British way. So
Mhm, that makes sense.
But that was just a you know a conversation that popped up once, and it's like, is that, if that's gonna be the pivot of our friendship, maybe this isn't the friendship for me. But I'm taking it to more of a lighter spot. um but having a friend that points out our blind spots is good. um but do we really need to sidle up with somebody who's critical on everything too? No, no, because there are those that will find fault in everything. um and sometimes the fault is not ours. It's, in my defense, he was holding the spoon the American way. So it comes down to, are you, are they pointing out blind spots that are really, things that we need to be aware of? And yeah, there definitely are friends that'll point out, blind spots of, this is a bad decision. And we might not see it at the time. um, but it definitely need those friends too. And again, same with with coworkers. The coworkers that'll reach out to us and have um, that permission, really. And you know to know that if they reach out to us and say, hey, this is something you're missing, that it's going to be, one, delivered, in a candid but gracious way, but also humbly accepted, and taken into consideration, not just I want to harass you because you hold your spoon funny sort of scenario. Which is something that's going to be important. um because I mean, ultimately, um when it comes down to it, obviously, like it was already said, you're going to be spending all of your adult life with coworkers in one way or another, unless you're an author. I think maybe an author just sits alone and writes books, but otherwise, unless you're going to become an author, you're probably going to have coworkers. And even they probably have research, and fact checks to do and whatnot. But it's something to consider, and to keep in mind the people that we spend our time with and the people that we work with. Definitely, very, very important. But then onto and then I think this might be kind of a more of a new material for you from the conversation at the start. There is the celebrating. So when we do have coworkers, or even friends, but coworkers, um celebrating people, what does celebrating to you guys look like? What do you consider celebrating somebody?
It'd be as simple as telling them good job for doing something. Like,
Mhm.
Your coworkers, if you ask them to help you with something and they do it, you tell them they did a great job.
Yeah, something simple like a pat on the back, a good job for a job well done. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, basically just saying like, good job, congratulations, just letting them know like that you're on their side and you want to see them grow and do better at whatever they're doing.
And then on the flip side, how do you like to be celebrated?
I don't need that much. I could just take a good job or pat on the back.
Pat on the back. There's everybody kind of sees that celebration as different ways. Sometimes it's, some people like the pat on the back, some people like the verbal good job, some people like just a personal card. Not always in front of everybody. Not everybody's as outgoing like that. How about you, Ben? What's your thoughts? Why does it matter to celebrate, and how do you like to receive celebration?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like when you do something well, like you want to be told you did it well, and
Mhm.
like kind of it boosts your self-esteem to do more and do more. Because if you constantly are not celebrated, you like wonder if you're doing things right or not, and
Mhm.
like you even feel valuable. So it's really that sense of like making you feel valuable, like you can do
Mhm.
more, push yourself. And like for me, like just some sense of acknowledgement is pretty much all I need. as long as you tell me I'm doing a good job and like tell me the things that I need to change, like that's good for me. But as long as I know, like you appreciate what I'm doing, like that's more
Okay, okay. And Chioma, how about you?
Yeah, no, I think Ben was spot on actually with his response, because we're talking about friends that are that would call you out on your faults, and you want there to be like a balance, somebody that will call you out, but somebody that, you know, would also celebrate your wins, and you know, whenever you do something right, you know, let you know that you did. And I think it's the same with like coworkers as well. Just you know, lifting them up when they do something right, especially when you put effort into something. It's good to know that, you know, you're moving in the right direction, like Ben said. Personally, I do like, you know, like good job,
Mhm.
you know, the words, but I also like ice cream and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind, you know,
Yeah.
somebody, yeah, I do like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's very important to celebrate a teammate.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. I like that one. That's good. Yeah, because yeah, it's definitely the, you know, the you know, the I guess I call it like the treats and the rewards that way, you know, like that's, you know, it's something, there's something to know that somebody went out of their way, you know, to figure out, well, what sort of ice cream is it that you like, and put it all together. And it's like, man, they really appreciated that because they went through and did the effort. And yeah, there's something that's special about that too. That's a good one. I like that. Um, how about you, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of like, uh, like a pat on the back or like an email saying, oh, like, well done. Like, I think that goes a long way, both like kind of expressing that to friends and like receiving that as like a kind of a compliment on like work you've been doing, and just being like aware of like what your friends and coworkers are working on, kind of knowing kind of what hurdles are jumping through. So when you see them finally get through those hurdles or complete a task, just like kind of like either an email or like even sometimes like a short like handwritten note goes a long way.
Yep, yep. No, that's good. That's good. Um, and you know, it's something that, you know, celebrating. It's the de-stress at the end of a project well done, where everybody can kind of get together and celebrate it. But it's also just the daily motivation of, you know, like you guys are kind of saying, like the pat on the back, the, you know, hey, you know, like, you know, you did a good job last week. You rocked it and got things done. It's not necessarily the major milestones. Um, and it helps us feel connected. It helps us feel appreciated. And it's also important for a company, super important for a company, because retention is very much so tied to celebrating. You know, and you know, you wouldn't think about it. You know, it's not just a case of, you know, of a paycheck. It's wanting to work there, wanting to wake up in the morning and get into the office, because you know that, you know, your teammates, your mentors, your boss, you know, everybody throughout the company appreciates you and will take the time to, you know, say good job and celebrate you. Definitely something that's important there. Um, so um, and as far as it looks like there was an exercise for celebrating friends. Did you guys all complete that one? Hands up if you didn't. Nobody. Okay. So so quickly on that one, let's kind of just go through it. How did that, you know, taking the time to celebrate friends, how did that make you feel?
It kind of felt, I think mine was more appreciating them.
Sure.
And it kind of felt strange.
Mm,
I don't know. I like these are my really good friends, and
mhm,
you know, I pray for them all the time, and we talk a lot.
mhm,
But I think it's not like appreciating them over text or sending a note. It's not something that I did a lot.
mhm,
And so when I started, it was kind of like, well, what do I say? I always I always know what to say when I'm praying or like when we're talking, but I've
mhm,
never, I guess I don't do it as often. So it felt kind of new.
mhm,
But it did feel good as well because I knew exactly how they would respond. I knew that one of them would make fun of me and say, what are you talking about? And then he would appreciate me as well.
Mhm.
And then the other one would be like, oh, thank you. And then she would appreciate me as well. Just knowing that it would put a smile on their face kind of made me feel good. But the process
Yeah.
itself kind of strange.
The process felt strange. Can I take a guess here and ask, did it make you feel vulnerable?
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's, when we appreciate somebody, and sometimes it's not always the case, but when we appreciate somebody, we're appreciating, we're celebrating, and especially when it's a celebration for appreciation, we're appreciating something that they give to us, something that we don't have, and in a way, we're acknowledging that and we're thanking them for that. And it's not something we do often. That's probably something I probably should do more often too. It's probably something you can't always do more often. But it's definitely a weird feeling at first, because we're basically dropping our guard. We're exposing, our vulnerabilities to say, this is what you provide to me, and thank you, and I appreciate it. So it's definitely, yeah. Thank you for going first on that one, because it definitely a uncomfortable feeling, at first. How about you, Austin? How did you get to do that exercise?
I did. I felt like Shioma, where I have some friends that I'm super close to, and I chose not to choose those people. I chose different people that I maybe interact with, once a week or something like that. And so I definitely felt vulnerable, and the fact that it was like, I know they wouldn't expect it coming. And it wasn't like, I tried not to make it like sugar coated or anything like that. I just reached out to people, a couple of them, and said, hey, thanks for doing this for me like last week. And it was cool to see their response, because it wasn't like, I don't know, it was just kind of out of the blue, and they weren't expecting it, and they were really grateful for it. So it helped a lot, I feel like, for me. So.
That's good. Was it there were individuals that you have weekly contact with, but not quite as like close friends or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I consider them friends, but they're not people
Mhm.
that I'm with like every single day, probably once a week.
Sure. I gotcha. Cool. Was it the feedback that you got from them and the responses, was it what you expected, or?
Some of them yes, and some of them no. Some of them were like, hey, thanks, I really needed that today. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's kind of cool.
Like,
That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
it was nice. Yeah.
So from you were taking the time to thank somebody, and well, I guess intentionally you were a good friend, and lifting them up. So that's that's a good one. I like that. It's a good good experience. How about you, Richard?
Yeah, I was pretty thankful for like the conversation started with the person I reached out to.
Oh, okay.
Someone like I hadn't really talked to in a while.
Mhm.
They like I knew they recently got some big news, so I sent them a message reaching out, and kind of like sparked a conversation, like catching up, kind of just checking on each other. So I was appreciative of that, and kind of remembering all like the good memories we had like in high school when we were super close. So
Mhm.
it was cool.
Well, that's cool. I like that. So it kind of sparked a conversation with somebody who's kind of a close friend that you maybe lost contact with for a bit?
Yeah, I would say we were pretty close up until kind of we both went off to school, and
Mhm.
I mean we kept in touch, but it's like kind of one of those things where it's once every few months. So it was
Sure.
cool to talk to them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. No, definitely. And sometimes, when you're thinking on something, on appreciating somebody, it's the things that you've lost or missed out from if you haven't been in contact with them for a while. Something, or a friend that had previously done something, and whatnot. And it's good to kind of reflect and look back on and say, you know, what am I, what am I missing in our friendship? What, did they provide in the past, or what did they, give to me in a friendship? And it's probably, yeah, it definitely could probably reach out to an older friend and reach out and have that, hey, remember, back in high school, or back, in summer, used to appreciate you doing this for me or whatever it was, and spark up conversations. And, people always like to, kind of hear that, that was something I did that has not been forgotten. I think that's a good one. I like that you reached out to an older friend on that. That's cool. How about you, Ben?
So I chose to do one of my best friends and then my mom.
Oh, cool.
So I thought it was a pretty awesome process. It really makes you, I don't know, like it was awesome seeing how good it made them feel. Like, I don't know,
Mm.
like times like we kind of overlook kind of what you're saying, like telling somebody they did a good job or like how they make you feel. And like seeing that interaction and like seeing the reaction for me was really cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's kind of my take.
So what was your mom's response? Was it, what do you need? Or did she, because if I say appreciation to my mom, she would say, what sort of trouble are you in? And how
No.
much money is it going to cost me?
I
So,
I have a pretty like really good relationship with my mom. Like my
oh,
first one
good.
I've ever always leaned on. So I think like I don't know, like I do this occasionally with her, like tell her
Oh,
how much.
cool.
This is like a more like in-depth version of that.
Uh-huh.
Kind of telling her that, like she means so much to me. Like I wouldn't be in the position I am without her.
Mhm.
She kind of cracked a big smile and let out a little tear, and yeah, that was that.
Oh, that's cool. That's special. So was that like face to face or
It was on FaceTime.
on FaceTime? Okay. Okay. That's good. Yeah. I know that's kind of, that makes it easier nowadays for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
So with this exercise, you made your mom cry. Good
Yeah,
job.
definitely.
Ben, you win. Excellent. So when was, you say you do that you do that from time to time? Had it been a while since you let her know that you appreciate her?
Yeah, it's probably been a while. I'd probably say like this year, like I've just been super busy, so I haven't really
Sure.
talked as much.
Yeah.
I haven't been home since the start of the year, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
And how long did that process take you?
Like talking to her,
Yeah.
I was probably on the phone with her for probably like an hour and a half after that.
So, but before that, of the actual act of thanking her.
Oh, of like actually like telling her
Yeah.
the whole.
Yeah.
Oh, probably was like, I mean, like I had like a pre-written like email sort of thing at first. And I
Oh,
was like,
cool. Okay. So there's lots of thought put into it. Okay.
yeah, and then I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna call her, and so I kind of
Hmm.
took out stuff I said from there. Probably was about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and then that's probably, yeah, it's probably about the industry average for a thank you and an appreciation and a celebration. I don't know. So I'm sure there's an industry for celebrating, but I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't take long, does it?
No.
But it's easy for us to kind of say, time, busy, schedule, that sort of stuff. When, like, yeah, calling, making a phone call or face to face, obviously, definitely, some of the more time, commitments. But even, just, sending a text or whatnot. But I mean, at 5 or 10 minutes, that's 5 or 10 minutes to make your mom cry. That's time well spent. So that's good. But yeah, it's easy to say, man, I don't have time to celebrate somebody. It's like, well, you got 5 or 10 minutes. But how about you, Zach? How about on your end? How'd it go?
I was like thinking about who I should actually like say it to, because I talked to two of my friends from high school,
Mhm.
play football right now. So I usually text them or call them after they play and just like let them know they had a good job and everything.
Mhm.
And when I did it to my roommates, who I'm really good friends with too, it was like a little weird just because I'm with them like all the times and like we don't really say stuff like that to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a little weird, but it was good to get it out.
yeah. How did they take it? Did they make it weird or did you make it weird?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, and I think when it's definitely guys can be, less touchy feely on stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And I can think of, a lot of my buddies, if I reached out to them, they would be like, what's Tom up to? What's he playing at? Where's the punchline? Something like that. And I think if one of my car buddies did to me, I think the same thing. But I think at the end of the day, after, I would realize, man, oh wow, he actually appreciated, and I'm normally the guy giving to my group of friends information on cars and things like that. And I've had, some of them reach out and say like, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to explain that or whatnot. And I still sit there and think, when's the punchline coming? But at the end of the day, when I realize it's genuine, it's like, oh man, that feels pretty good. So it's tougher for guys, definitely to go through that. But that's cool that you did that with your roommates. And I hope they realized that it wasn't that you were being genuine. Did they in the end they realized it was a genuine appreciation and celebration? Did they realize you were being genuine there,
sorry.
Zach? Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. I
Oh,
didn't know
good.
if you were asking a question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, sorry.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
they were just happy to hear it from me. Because
Cool.
we're all really close and we've been roommates before, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool. No, I'm glad you guys went through that because yeah, it's definitely taking the time to celebrate others. It can be time out of the day. Especially if you have to go and get ice cream, but that's all right. that's my sort of celebration. That one works perfect for me. But even a quick text or a phone call, making yourself feel vulnerable because you're in a sense letting somebody know where you need them, but also letting somebody else know where they're appreciated is huge. So that's no, I'm glad you guys went through that exercise. And then Dave will go through the innovation project with you guys. I saw you guys complete it. He's got it. I took a quick look at it. I'm interested in signing up for Uber Air. So next flight. So I'll be reaching out to you for that. Hopefully it gets off the ground. But then for the next week, you guys have on, I don't know if you guys have this written down on already, but the next week it's going to be the industry overview. And then the assignment is the commercial industry research project you guys should have access to. And then the industry overview feedback quiz. And then commercial bank participants up to the CMBS. And that should all be through your Traineal. And that, well, I said next week, I think it's actually for Wednesday. I apologize. So yeah, you guys will still be meeting with Dave on Wednesday.
You said up until CMBS.
Yeah, I think CMBS is the,
So like after industry overview feedback quiz, there's commercial bank participants. Then commercial bank interview answers and then a quiz on that. And then it goes, oh, okay. CMBS lenders.
oh yeah, CMBS lenders. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So
Sounds
go
good.
up to that point or complete that one.
Complete the CMBS lenders. Yep.
Oh, so only do those three, like don't complete the middle.
Yeah, so you'll do on the lender side.
There's
Yeah,
a,
there'll be life insurance companies.
Mhm.
So you guys will start going over actual life or over lenders, which life insurance companies will be the first one, and then CMBS lenders will be the second one. So you'll go over those two. And there's and then the two quizzes with the CMBS. So
So we're starting from commercial real estate industry overview and we're ending at CMBS quiz
correct. Yep.
for
Yep.
Wednesday.
That was the instructions from Dave.
Okay. Yeah, no,
I can confirm with him if it's stopping at CMBS or going through CMBS. So I'll confirm with him and have him reach out to you, or I'll have Michelle reach out to you guys. Does that sound good? Because because that will be quite a bit of information, because I think the life insurance companies is quite long too. Yeah.
There
I'll
are
con-
like a bunch of quizzes that normally don't take too long as well, though. They're like 2 or 3 per little section, so that could make it faster. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it
those-
looks like each one's got a little couple quizzes on there too. So I'll confirm and have Michelle or Dave reach out to you guys and just give you a solid answer on it. So I apologize for not having that completely clear there.
No worries.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stop the recording here.